Hey guys, we're back again talking Better Call Saul. Today is episode 303, Sunk Costs. Now this one really has to do with the fallout finally coming to fruition between Jimmy and Chuck. And now a legal battle is about to be underway. Jimmy finds himself at odds and he's going to represent himself and kind of the dismay of Kim, while Mike gets into more entanglements as he finally learns who Gus is and what the beef is with him and Hector Salamanca. And one of the main reasons I really liked this episode was because of how it humanized its characters, how it really brought the relationship of Jimmy and Chuck back to this very realistic and sympathetic kind of nature that we see they really are these two brotherly characters. And I credit that very much to the performance of course, Bob Odenkirk, but also Michael McKean, who plays Chuck. We have a lot of beef with Chuck throughout these 3 seasons, or 2+ seasons so far of the show, but somehow the show always manages to bring us back in and feel for the guy, because deep down he does seem like a good person, and we've seen those nuggets in flashbacks and certain other scenes in this show that have really humanized him and shown his journey and why he feels the way he does and why he is still trying to maneuver Jimmy the way he is after all of these years. So to see that and to really see the kind of impact this is going to have on their relationship while they're still trying to keep this crazy balance to it is actually pretty thoughtful, and it really works for the story. Now in terms of Mike's storyline, he's finally vindicated that he knows who's coming after him. He knows it's Gus. They have a mild confrontation, if you will, but it's much more methodic, and obviously this is going to be the start of a beautiful friendship, so to speak. But really what this is doing, I think this is threading the line a little bit more to build some tension for what their beef is going to be with Hector Salamanca, because remember, this takes place 6 years or so before Breaking Bad even begins. So now Hector Salamanca has a little bit of a vague past that we still haven't seen yet, and Mike and Gus are already somewhat in cahoots here. So it's actually, I think, in a very subtle way, building some good tension that's going to definitely rise by the end of this season. And there's an extremely clever scene in which Mike uses a rifle, but I won't say how he uses it. I will say that when he first dons this rifle, I said, it seems a little rushed for him to really get violent, even in this sense and at this juncture in the show, but the way he uses it is incredibly clever and classic Breaking Bad / Better Call Saul style. They always have their little ways of making characters just look so smart, and then just being smart writers too, and that's something that I guess kind of goes unnoticed, that we just don't see how well the writers do because we're so engaged in the story. We think these characters are as genuine as anything. But back to Jimmy and Chuck and Kim's story. So this sets up a little bit of a triangle between Jimmy, Chuck, and Kim, and it's really going to kind of be the descent of all of their relationships, I think. Kim is insistent that she help Jimmy, but he's very reluctant to do so. And Chuck, while he is heartbroken that Jimmy has now this profound disdain for him after the movie pulled on him, it seems like he still feels some good and some genuine emotion between he and his brother. And this is actually setting up for some pretty compelling drama. And I've got to say, I really appreciated this. So overall, this episode did have all the great things we usually have: great cinematography, great acting, and all of the other bonus stuff. But it really had a great emotional prefix to some drama that's going to unfold later in the series. It expands on these characters more, it humanizes them once again, and it makes us feel for them and their paths and their struggles all the more so. So with that said, I really enjoyed this episode. I think it might have been stronger than last week's episode, and I was really happy with where this brought the story and how it fleshed out the characters and the way it reminded us that these are human people, even if we don't agree with their life decisions. So with that said, why don't you guys comment below and let me know what you thought about it. Thank you for watching, and tune in next week for episode 4.